Hello and welcome to this episode of the GX video series and GX Talks. You're either listening to us or watching us online. In either case, subscribe to the channel. I'm here at the World Government Summit 2023, and I have with me Aaron Snow, who's Interim Executive Director and a Fellow at the Beck Center for Social Impact and Innovation at Georgetown University. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ian.
You've led senior positions in the United States, in Canada, within government. Help us understand what are governments battling today and what's confusing them the most when it comes to government services, service delivery, technology. What's going on?
Governments are battling a series of cascading gaps in how to adjust to being digital governments. There's the experience gap that end users have, the expectations gap between what they expect out of the modern digital world and what they get frequently from governments. That rolls back in part to technology gaps. Governments struggle with modernizing legacy systems and adapting new technologies. Part of the reason for that is a capacity and capabilities gap. Governments have a hard time recruiting, retaining, and training up the amount of expertise that's needed for modern software and product development, right, and maintenance and improvement. And all of that rolls back to structural and incentive gaps. Governments are frequently set up to be hierarchical. They're very siloed in many cases, and product development and software is fundamentally a cross-functional exercise in the modern world. And so helping governments figure out how to give themselves permission and then how to actually start to work in different newer ways is the work of these digital service teams that I've been a part of.
So it looks like governments are constantly fighting fires, putting out fires, drinking from the fire hose, to use all the metaphors I can. But it looks like governments are maybe overwhelmed with things that they need to do, digital transformation, what have you. What about smaller governments? We see success cases in, again, Estonia, Singapore, UAE, in other countries. Is it just the formula, or is it literally just the volume of things that needs to be done?
Sure. Smaller governments generally don't have as hard a time. A lot of it has to do with how layered and old the systems, not the technical systems, but bureaucratic systems, policies, compliance issues, habits, culture that's embedded in governments. Newer governments have an easier time. They're starting more closer to starting from scratch than governments that have lots and lots of tradition built into how they work that they need to work through. And one of the other things we talked about earlier today on the panel was that decentralized governments with decentralized power, have a lot harder time bringing a whole nation in through digitalization of their governments, because it's not just one government at the top deciding to digitize a system or a process or a service and pushing it out to everyone. Yeah. It's that government having to herd the cats of all of the state, provincial, local, regional governments to come together around how to do that.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about, how governments are and how bureaucracy works, how governments work. And typically, do you see from your work that it matters if there are younger people within governments who can see maybe the impact of technology differently because they're using them? And does age have anything to do with it, right? I'm just trying to understand, what is it?
Age is one axis. Really, governments need to be able to understand all of their users, and they don't have the luxury, unlike private companies, of deciding, okay, I'm just going to go after this corner of the market or this 50 or 80% of the market. Governments have to be inclusive. They need to address all of the people that they're serving. And so governments that have a cross-section of those people, young and old, of different colors, of different religions, of different backgrounds, those are the governments that are most likely to be able to understand the varying needs of users and then address them with the services that they design and develop.
Yeah. What are some of your favorite government success stories that you feel are, hey, this is incredible work? I don't know, it could be something small, something big. Any favorites?
So this is going to sound a little strange, but Healthcare.gov was a system that very famously tried to launch on October 1st, 2013, and was meant to serve millions of people that day, and instead only served 8 before it crashed.
Wow.
I point to that as a favorite success story for a couple reasons. Number one, in a short matter of months, the system was in fact working, and now to this day, years later, does serve millions of people a year and helps millions of people access healthcare in America that they might otherwise not be able to access. That moment also was a catalyzing crisis moment for the US government. That was the moment when I think a lot of folks in government looked around and said, all right, are there different ways to handle the delivery of these kinds of services to the public? And they were able to bring in folks from the outside. They were able to raise up people on the inside of government who knew to work differently. And the acceptance of different, newer ways of working got a big boost that day. And we find that frequently happens in moments of crisis. The pandemic was actually an incredible catalyst for a lot of digitalization of governments around the world.
Yeah, yeah. I want to ask you about maybe the structure of people, more organizational structure of governments and how people think, right? You've got the typical CIO, the CTO. What else should governments have? Like, should they focus more on security? Should they focus more on, experimentation and maybe work with startups? What kind of structure would you propose would be an ideal structure for any government entity organization to have for a good chances of succeeding with technology implementation?
Well, with hundreds of thousands of governments all over the world, I'm not going to try to make one size fit all, but I think that a lot of governments could benefit from, and ones that have them do benefit from, something akin to a chief customer experience officer. This is a relatively recent phenomenon in a lot of governments. One of the things we find is that the experience of the end user is one of the things that is not at the decision-making table in a lot of instances in government. Who sits at the decision-making table when you're rolling out technology or services? Policy, law, communications, politics, security. Security is well covered in most cases, compliance. But what isn't there is someone who speaks for the users. And so in organizations that have inserted user research and design expertise, customer experience expertise, and given them a role and a seat and an authority, we see rapid improvements.
Yeah, excellent. Well, I hope you had a great time here at the World Government Summit. It's been an honor and pleasure working with you and having you as part of the GX forum that had record attendance this time. It was, much bigger than ever before, and it continues to grow. Aaron, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate the insights. And to all our listeners and viewers, follow Aaron's work. He's one of the top 100 people twice in digital government, and he is literally the person you should follow online for any inspirational stuff within government. So Aaron, thank you. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Take care, my friend. Thank you. And that is the end of this episode. Follow us, share this video, and we'll see you in the next episode.